F3, it just makes things so much smoother. I got to give a shout out to Dan for this. Somehow at like 11 o'clock at night, he's like, you know what? We're not getting there fast enough. I'm coming down. Gets in his car, Amazing. Flies down here at like 11 o'clock at night. We fixed it and, made a bunch of money. And so it's like, you got to be able to have somebody be able to help you fast.
Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I'm your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ Media production. Started this show back in 2017, back when no one was listening. We had a crazy idea as restaurant owners here in San Diego that if we used technology at our fingertips, we could connect to other hospitality leaders all over the world. Now we have a media company on top of our restaurant. We produce lots of shows internally. We produce lots of shows for our clients. And more importantly, we get to have great conversations with some of the most unique, interesting, and cutting edge people in our industry. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Nils Westlind. He is the owner of Como and Esco and Shogun, and soon to launch a new concept, which he can talk about. Nils, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Give me high level. Why restaurants?
Why restaurants?
Are you crazy? You're crazy like me. You have the hospitality in your DNA, or what?
Yeah. I think I love putting a smile on people's face. So that's I love to be able to serve. This is our way of doing that. We started, my whole journey kind of started by default, or kind of, I'd say, by accident. I was just in college and trying to pay bills, and had a bartending thing turn into a serving thing, and it was a hosting thing, and one thing after the other led into management. And fast forward many years later, here we are, as I kind of started off and broke off and did my own thing after being with a bunch of different corporate groups here in Chicago. And yeah, so that's kind of the start of it. And it's been an interesting, rewarding, incredibly high highs and sometimes low lows. But I think that I wouldn't have it any other way in terms of what what we can do for people, and what we can how we can create these experiences that make people have like these incredible moments in their life, and we can toast, and we can celebrate, and we can just everything about hospitality from start to finish. I think that is probably some it's covering a lot of ground right there just with that statement. But like, that is one of our big mission statements, is from start to finish. I believe that's so important, because there's so many different phases, and there's within a night of I have so many different stories of how everything was perfect, but the last thing on the way out didn't work out, or the thing mid-meal, or the little detail of this. And that's what I think we try to, within our own group, kind of mitigate that risk, is engineering all the different systems that we can kind of put those variables at ease. If that makes sense. I think
makes complete sense to me. It's the difference between being proactive with your hospitality and being reactive. Obviously, There's a lot of things that we can't control, so you have to be good at being reactive. But in order to sustain in this business, we definitely have to build the systems and the team in place so that, to your point, things happen. That magic happens with intent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you could go back and talk to yourself, there was a place where you were working for other restaurant groups and you decided to go out on your own. What do you wish you knew back then, now that you're where you are?
Oh man, how much time do we have?
Everything.
it's just so funny you say. I literally was just with some of our team. We were having a meeting just a second ago, and it was a meme or Instagram thing, and I believe this applies to probably all business owners. So it's not just exclusively to uh, restaurateurs or people in the industry. Picture of me starting a business, and I can't remember the actor, but he's all polished, and in a tux and in a suit, and then 6 years after running a business, and he's just destroyed. And it's another film, same actor, in a war, scars on his face, and all this different kind of stuff. So, to your question, what do I wish I would have known? It's a challenging question, just because it's a great question, because I think if you know too much, or you get too smooth of a ride too early on, no bueno. I think that challenge, pitfall, like the lows, they create grit. They make you tough, and they're not easy. But how much more polished do you come out on the other end? And I think that's something that is a part of our story. Even within our own space here, we're you guys are in California.
We're in San Diego,
right?
yeah.
Yep. So we're here downtown Chicago. We're on what's called Restaurant Row. They've dubbed it Randolph, and we're here with a lot of the big guys and the big corporate groups, and we got Soho House a block away and Nobu a block away, and so you're as an independent small business owner, you're competing with all these things. I got into this area in 2016, and it was not as developed as it is now, and it was also a different time. I think for many different reasons. We've gone through, all of us in hospitality have gone through just a whirlwind of different events, including pandemic and all kinds of challenging things, and it pushed us to get better, differentiate, and diversify what we're doing. Oh, we're doing to go now, or we can't get that many people in this space. Oh, we have to redesign this space because we can't have too many people here. So now we're trying to make the space softer, add plants, add all kinds of different things because you can't put as many people in a room. In terms of, for me, within this space, we started with a like Como, our Japanese fine dining restaurant that we have, started as a different concept, and so now it's on its second gen in terms of being redeveloped after pandemic. I just didn't want to. There was so much development that happened in this area that I just didn't want to reopen the same thing and just have it fall flat. And so, a very good, near and dear friend of mine, executive chef and partner of ours, Maku Chan. And just the Chan family in Chicago are kind of a big deal. A lot of different restaurant groups work with them, and they've garnered a lot of fame and recognition in terms of their quality. Whether it's some of the brothers have like 3 brothers, 4 brothers that are whether it's Michelin star or Bib Gourmand or awards or James Beard or a lot of big restaurant chains, Let Us Entertain You, and different things. Have worked with their family. But Maku was a friend of mine. He was one of those restaurants. He had Maku Sushi in Lincoln Park for a long time that was affected negatively by the pandemic, and he ended up deciding to close. And I was there for like one of his last services, and we talked about it, connected, and I said, hey, I have a space that I'm looking to redevelop in the West Loop on Restaurant Row, and I'd love to just walk you through it and see and if we could do it. And so he came over, and we walked it, and we talked about how we would how we would redevelop the space and do that. And that was about, 4 or 5 years ago now. So, so it's just, I may have veered off the direct question, just kind of telling the story, but that is, the, with, I think the question was, what I wish I would have known,
Yeah.
And I think, with this, we've gone through like the history of our company, and everything that we've done or built has gone through so many different phases. And they were all, some of them were planned and very, particularly engineered to get to a certain thing. And then some of them were just thrown together.
Yep.
And sometimes the thrown together things, something hits and it works better. And sometimes the planned things work better. But I think that all of it just contributes to, it becomes like the weaving of a fabric of what you're trying to build, create, and put out, and in a world in which now, like, everyone is some type of an expert, or foodies this, and that term, or the phone eats first, and like just everything being, there's so much just to talk about, the digital and tech. There's so much always constantly coming in. Is just staying ahead and staying informed. I think is clutch. So I don't know if I've directly or completely indirectly answered the question, but
You answered the question, and I think I ask the question often because I'm almost asking it to myself of what I wish I knew, and I'm almost glad I didn't know it, because I don't know if I would still be doing it. Like, to be honest, like the naivety part of like opening up a restaurant back in 2008, which is when we opened up our restaurants, and doing what we did in a tough and difficult location. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be on a podcast now with you, have a media company on top of my restaurant, do all the stuff that we're able to do, if it wasn't for that journey. If it wasn't for that journey, and not knowing, and getting the scars, as you said, and getting tattered and disheveled, the magical moments along the way, but also the tough times, because there's been lots of tough times. When you look at where you're going, what you guys are building, what does it look like? More concepts? Do you ever think you're going to find one concept that you'll open multiple locations of?
Yeah. I think anyone in business, as what you start off with, sometimes is not always the final product of what you thought or where you think you'd be. I know that's the case for me. I think, early on, when I first started on my own, and kind of my story as it goes was I never thought I would do this. I went to school for business. I grew up first 15 years of my life, and not in the U.S. I grew up in Cartagena in Colombia. So Spanish is my first language. And then we moved to Chicago, and I hated it at first because I grew up on the coast. I would surf every day after school, and it was just awesome. And we came to Midwest in the middle of a snowstorm, snowball fights, and went from a private school to a public school, culture shock like you wouldn't believe. But it helped shape and mold, and kind of like made me realize a lot of things. And so I was going for something else. And like I said in the beginning, like I always did it as like just a way to make side money, where else can you make the kind of money you could make, bartending or serving in a couple of days a week. And that's what you have when you're in college, is your focus is school. And that's what I was going after. And I was going after a business degree, and I was doing like acting and theater on the side. I come from, I've been playing guitar. My family, there's a lot of musicians in my family. And so I thought I was going to go down that road more in entertainment maybe. And went after that, moved to LA for a while, did the typical thing of, waiting tables and hosting at nightclubs and different things like that while I would go to auditions and all that kind of stuff. And then slowly but surely just kept getting offers to come back to Chicago that were not, they were more management. They were manage this restaurant, manage this, and do operations for this and business development for that, and just kept growing. And then I did come back to Chicago, and I was a part of a lot of different groups. I think it would be pointless to name all the different restaurants. Might know some, might not know a bunch of them, but got to a point where I was with in a couple different scenarios. I was feeling like there was so much red tape or just things to get to a decision. I was just like, this felt so handcuffed or restricted, and I was just like, I'm just. I started thinking, I'm just going to do this for myself. It'd be so much easier. And
it's way easier.
And then, and then that goes back
all
to
the problems, not a fraction of the problems.
Yeah, it goes back to the other question, and
even the ones you didn't know you had. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now, welcome to being the busiest man in the room all the time.
Yeah.
And, but like I said, I don't want it to sound like, or to other people listening or watching, I don't want to sound like this is some painful, negative thing that it is to, it's just a certain, like, I guess somebody could ask me, what's your pain tolerance?
Yes.
But I think that I think there's amazing times, and I know you probably share that. Like,
yes,
going into your restaurant on a Saturday night and watching everybody having drinks or taking bites of things, and their eyes rolling in the back of their head, and seeing a sea of people, or like when I go to our nightclub, Esco, and I stand up on top of a table just to see everything that's going on. And not because I'm drinking or having a good time or anything, just to see, operation, make sure that everything.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I've got you.
So just make sure we're on the same page. But
just paint the picture. Well, this is where we add the B-roll, right?
Yeah. So
Perfect.
Looking and seeing like everyone dancing, bottles coming out and sparklers. This show, I'm getting the business side of things that I wanted to when I initially wanted to do this. And I'm getting the theatrics of it that I also was doing, and I'm getting the music, and I'm getting all these components. Maybe it's not front and center, and maybe I'm not. It's not the star thing that I thought I wanted, or I don't know if that's what I wanted, or what early on in everyone's lives when you're starting to develop what you're going to chase, what your career might be, and so much of that comes through trial and error, and kind of seeing what you like, what you don't like. Because internships and things get you to that point. So those are the young days of it for me, and then getting through all the different management phases of it, which maybe I could have even done more. But I don't know. I don't think I would want to have started my own stuff too late either, because I may have never gotten there. I think that having a bit of overconfidence, I've always, been fairly confident, is a weapon, or a different type of tool, because you just think that you can, if you think you can do it, like persistence, I think
deep belief,
can just drive. And and I think that, I know there's this, people talk about passion versus finding something you're good at, but I do think it's got to be a mix. I do think you need to have some passion for it, just because when you hit those moments of like, oh my gosh, like, why am I doing this now? Now I have a toddler, and I sometimes have, thank you. Yeah. Early mornings, sometimes have late nights, try to keep as regular of a schedule as you can, and then it's just, and I think just with any entrepreneurial person, just doing business and trying to have a family and trying to navigate all this stuff is is something that you need to stay highly organized for, but also you need to get back to that passion. You need to have something that's driving you that is like, I really care about this. I care about, again, the seeing all these people happy in the restaurant, all these people in a bar, all these people that you're providing this experience for, and that reward has to be rewarding enough for you to get up and get going with it every day. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. Sorry.
No,
With
it's
different
I
things.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. I consider myself a new dad, even though my kids are 8, going to be turning 8 and going to be turning 6, which I can't believe because I swear I used to just had a new baby girl and a new baby boy, but it happens fast. Life
Congrats as
happens
well.
fast. Thank you.
Yeah,
But they're a part of the business. Every business is a family business. So,
that's awesome.
how dad feels when he gets home is, um, as we all know, it's a hard work that we do. It's long hours, but we want to provide for the family. When you think about, I mean, we're grateful that we have so much, so many partners that help us run our businesses. If it wasn't for Dan Diaz and F3, we wouldn't have met. Dan, F3 is a client of ours. I know
Yeah,
they helped you out. Can you share a little bit about what F3 has done for your restaurant group and for your
yeah,
restaurants and nightclubs?
yeah. Um, well, I think that I would have few times had a complete panic breakdown when we were, just there's so many, as you know, but there's so many different little facets of things, and we were doing an opening of downstairs of, or in our basement, we have a thing called Shogun, which is just like a little members room that we have. We collect Japanese whiskey, chef and I, and we have a pretty solid collection. It was taking us years to do. We did this. We did Japanese whiskey room, lockers, membership. We did vinyl, a little mini vinyl listening room, which is a place for us because the club gets too packed, and so this is some other type of option to have. And so we were launching that, but also other things that we had launched with F3. It just makes things so much smoother. I mean, there's no other way to put it. If you have more experts in what their said area is, and that's what F3 and Dan is for us. When something goes wrong, and just having that support. So this particular thing was, everything went down because we had crossover of wires or whatever it was between different floors that we have here on our West Loop place, and just no sales, couldn't do transactions. Everybody was trying to close. People started getting upset. It would have been just me trying to figure that out with some of our managers, get on the phone, having that support system. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it. And then I got to give a shout out to Dan for this. Just like, also has a family, but somehow at like 11 o'clock at night, he's like, you know what? We're not getting there fast enough. I'm coming down. Gets in his car,
Amazing.
flies down here like 11 o'clock at night, which was great that he did, because the bulk of our sales happened between 12 a.m. that night and like 3 a.m. And
Wow.
yeah, so I mean, we fixed it and made a bunch of money, and everybody was happy. And I think that maybe a few guests knew that we were having an issue, but like otherwise it would have been catastrophic. So that, but and even more so than that, just as we go through now, this is a big expansion year for us with different things that we're doing. And I kind of was waiting until we had these plans. I had a lot of these plans in place, you know, during pandemic. And when pandemic came, I was like, pause, pump the brakes. Let's see what the landscape looks like. Let's see how it comes back. If it comes back, what the market's going to be. And so we kind of paused on all of it. And so now for 2022 was a decent year for us. And 2023 and everything started kind of going back to normal. We decided to start like doing all these things. And so now as we're expanding, having them, toast is is great, but being able to get someone on the phone that knows your building, your systems, and all that kind of stuff, and help you set everything up. That's
Yep.
real time. Like that's a huge value. Everything everything we do is in these computers and in the POS systems, and so it's like you gotta be able to have somebody be able to help you fast, and that's what that is.
How important is social media and storytelling for your brands?
Super. We use a company called Gaz, and they are a creative agency. And no, big shout out to them. They do big groups to little things. They're very helpful. And sometimes as I like to have everyone kind of focused on their area. So, chef and cooks and line coach, CDCs, sous chefs, they're all in the kitchen doing their thing. Ops team is doing ops and everybody's doing their thing. I feel like when you share too many things can be that one person isn't doing that one thing well anymore.
Yep.
Because they have too many things. And that's a struggle, I think, in all of this business, because you can just so easily start piling on duties to the gal who's sitting in the office, and all of a sudden she does everything. And then it's like frustration and wants a raise or quits or whatever.
Goes on
And
vacation or burns out. Yep.
so with guys, it's like they have been able to, those days you want to be in a certain creative mindset also too. Like I think we as owners will kind of be like, I'm in my accounting time, I have my on the floor time, my operation time. For me, you gotta, like, I have to, if I'm in the wrong mindset, I can't pull out Instagram or something and create something that's great.
Yeah.
But if I have that one time where I've had some coffee and you're social, things just flow, right? And you're like, you're in the zone. So we use them. They help understand our brand and understand through lengthy, processes in the beginning of understanding the identity of their brand, filling out questionnaires of what that is. They just do a good job and linking that and helping us support through that and scheduling out posts and doing all that stuff. I think social is, we could go even harder than what we're doing right now. And we plan on it. This next year is like a big rollout for a lot of different things that we're doing just with them. And a little plug, and not that it's a huge deal, but it's my youngest sister who has the company. She started working with me. Well, sorry, in hospitality. She always had like background in this, and like just kind of took off. And so we kind of support each other. But she does a great job. I think storytelling is huge. Our story of like just Mako and I is a really long story, but we have that story in our branding about Mako and I, because if you look at Mako and I, we're completely different. I grew up internationally, grew up in Cartagena, first 15 years of my life. He grew up in Tokyo. We met here in Chicago. Chicago is one of those big cities like a New York or an LA or Miami, where like it's a melting pot and all kinds of different people meet each other. And so we tell that story with our concept at Como, and then we're doing that again at Pub Sumo, our next place that we're opening up. And so that is, and then Esco from a storytelling, and standpoint and branding and everything is also a story of my background growing up in Colombia. So if there's a good story, it's the hook, and everybody, it's like watching a movie that just has explosions without a good narrative. It's like, if there's no good script, I'm not into it. So yeah, there's got to be a really cool storyline to tell. So yeah, we have some stories to tell. I think that's why we're we're doing this.
Amazing. I love it, Nils. And if you guys are watching, if you're listening, we just launched a restaurant technology Substack newsletter. It's some original content. We've got some great brands telling some deep stories about technology that are running the most powerful restaurants across the globe. Please check that out. Nils, what's the best place for people to keep in touch with you? The brands.
Oh yeah, you can go to our company corporate page is saluthospitality.com, and then also Como is our big restaurant right now, which has Esco in it and everything. So Como Chicago,
Amazing.
Como Chicago, Esco Chicago. We're plugging them all right now. I feel like I'm a DJ.
Plug them all. We're putting all of them into the show notes. 100%.
Yeah.
And
So,
we go to Chicago every year at least once. I'm gonna figure out a way to come and visit you at one of your locations. I've heard only the best things. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm just so grateful. Shout out to F3 for making the introduction. If you ever make it, Nils, you or any of your team make it to San Diego on the West Coast, please let me know. I'd love to have some barbecue. Have you guys come over to our barbecue restaurants? And that goes for anybody listening or watching. We believe a rising tide lifts all ships. We can't do this shit alone. This is a hard business, but a beautiful business. And we appreciate you guys for watching and staying tuned. We'll catch you next week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sean.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this long, you are part of the community. You're part of the tribe. We can't do this alone. We started, no one was listening. Now we have a community of digital hospitality leaders all over the globe. Please check out our new series called Restaurant Technology Substack. It's a Substack newsletter. It's free. It's some of our deep work on the best technology for restaurants. Also go to YouTube and subscribe to Cali Barbecue Media. Cali BBQ Media on YouTube. We've been putting out a lot of new original content. Hopefully you guys like that content. If you want to work with us, go to betheshow.media. We show up all over the United States, some international countries. We would love to work with you and your growing brand on digital storytelling. You can reach out to me anytime at Sean P. Walchef on Instagram. I'm weirdly available. Stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We'll catch you next episode.